We're talking today with Dr. Kenji Hakuta, a professor of education at Stanford University and one of the nation's leading authorities on how to address the challenge of equal educational opportunity for English language learners. Dr. Hakuta recently delivered the 7th Annual Brown Lecture in Education Research, a lecture series sponsored by the American Educational Research Association, which commemorates the historic Brown v. Board of Education decision of the U.S. Supreme Court. Dr. Hakuta, you've spent a great deal of your career focused on improving educational opportunities for students, particularly for those who are English language learners. As a scholar and a scientist, where do you see research coming into play in developing sound education policy on these issues?
In my field, I guess what we call the Castañeda framework is a legal framework that really allows research to play a role in the practice and policy. And the Castañeda framework essentially says that approaches to address the needs of English language learners have to be based on sound educational theory and implemented with standards and then measured for outcomes. And that framework allows us to talk about what is the sound, what does the research space say about appropriate ways of addressing the needs of English language learners. I'm not really trained in the field of education originally. I'm trained as an experimental psycholinguist, which studies the relationship between language, cognition, and basic development. And that also plays a potential role in understanding development of English language learners, because students aren't just learning language, they're not learning a second language English, but also learning academic content and really involved in the process of cognitive development.
As both a scientist and a citizen, how important is it, in your view, to invest in research on these issues?
Well, on a number of levels, I think it's, I can be selfish and say we really need a lot of research, but I really do think that we do need a lot of research in many areas, especially around understanding better assessment procedures for students. And what we see is going to drive a lot of reform and decisions made at the local level and at the state level. So assessment, I think, is really key. Basic understanding of instruction, and especially around how better to train teachers who work with English language learners to better understand and better instruct English language learners, I think is really important.
Can you apply the lessons learned from this research in a one-size-fits-all approach that some of the education community are advocating for, or what would you alternatively recommend in an education environment as diverse as ours?
Well, schooling is really a very complex and diverse enterprise. What I've seen is even within very small school districts, you can see a lot of diversity in the kinds of programs and the kind of instruction that students are receiving. And all of them are trying to improve instructional practice within them. So I think it is really difficult for, at the federal levels, certainly, and even at the state level, to have top-down, one-size-fits-all policies. But as researchers, we need to provide the kinds of tools to better understand the instructional programs, and to really help the local educators and the state educators make better decisions using the information that we provide.
Next year, as you know, Congress is poised to overhaul comprehensive educational law to impact our nation's elementary and secondary students. Based on the research you've done, what advice do you have for the policymakers who are striving to ensure that the core education issues of access and accountability are truly measurable and contribute to greater academic results?
Well, I think No Child Left Behind gave us greater visibility. That is, it really put English language learners very clearly on the map in terms of their needs for English language development and for access to challenging academic content. Visibility doesn't necessarily mean that the vision is good. I think we need better vision in the context of better visibility. We should work on producing and having better assessments, better systems around identification, as well as accountability systems that fully include English language learners in appropriate ways, using the right kinds of inclusion practices, and then supporting teachers and professional development that would enable effective instruction of these students.
Technology and innovation, as you know, is the new norm in education. Can you share your thoughts on how this new education model can either hurt or help educational progress for language minority students? What kind of strategies have to be part of the innovation conversation to ensure that these students aren't left behind?
I think the potential of technology helping English language learners, especially around English language development, is immense and really underutilized. The natural language processing technologies, especially around artificial intelligence and access to the huge text space that's available now, and not just textbooks, but the all texts, matter of text in the world is tremendous, and technologies have been developed and are continuing to be developed that really take advantage of that to give access directly to students for texts that help them access both English language development but also content. I think there's still a digital divide, and the digital divide is not just in terms of availability of technology, but also having the people to support the use of the technology. And I think that so the potential is huge, but the challenges in using them appropriately and effectively are enormous.
Thanks very much for sharing your time and your thoughts.
You're welcome.